I'd like to talk a little bit about expectations. Chris mentioned the Endangered Species Act was passed in 1973. That was at the beginning of the big environmental movement where it started getting a lot of publicity. Some of you were alive then. I know there were everything going on. It was the civil rights movement. Of course, the peace movement was very big then. And it was also the beginning of the environmental movement. And we got a lot of important environmental laws passed during that time. And the feeling was that regulation was going to be necessary in order to solve many of our environmental problems. And that probably was true. And that concept was generally accepted by everyone, that we need regulation in order to control pollution, whether it's water pollution or air pollution. We need regulation in order to protect our endangered species. So that was the direction that the law was written in. And I'm sure that the legislators who voted for that thing were thinking about the impressive animals that were in trouble. Things like whooping cranes. Whooping crane was a big poster child for endangered species. They were once down to 15 birds. So that's clearly an endangered species that needs lots of help. And brown pelicans. Now, Louisiana is the pelican state. Once upon a time, the pelican state had no pelicans. So these are big, impressive animals, and of course, the American bison. What a impressive, large critter like that, and there are millions of them in our country, and they almost disappeared. So this is what the legislators were thinking about when they passed the Endangered Species Act. But the biologists got a hold of it then and started taking a different look at things. And they recognized that there were many, many other very important plants and animals that were also threatened and endangered. Things like Chris's freshwater mussels. I make fun of him all the time just because I can. But freshwater mussels are a critical part of our aquatic ecosystem. We have to keep these animals a viable part of functioning stream systems. And there are many other critters like that that fit in that category. And that's what surprised people. They were ready to protect whooping cranes. They weren't so ready to protect snail darters. Snail darter was the first critter of that kind that really brought publicity to the Endangered Species Act and what that's going to mean to the United States and other activities. A snail darter is a little fish 4 or 5 inches long, and it was discovered in a stream in Alabama at a spot where there was proposed a major new dam and reservoir to be built. And as far as anyone knew at that time, the snail darter only existed on this one stream where the Tellico Dam was going to go in. Well, this was a federally funded, federally constructed reservoir and dam. So the federal agency responsible for that construction, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, had to comply with the Endangered Species Act, which says you can't wipe out any critters. So they took a look and said, well, we're going to put the dam right on top of this fish. We're going to wipe out all of the fish. We can't build this dam. And I don't remember what it cost. It was probably $50 million or something. It was a big price tag on this dam. And that's what really caused the first big controversy with the Endangered Species Act. And there have been many others since then. And a lot of that comes from expectations. People were very ready to protect whooping cranes and bison and not so ready to protect 5-inch long fish, which, who's to say which of these critters is the most important one? I mean, the idea of the Endangered Species Act is we were not going to be the judge on what to protect and what not to protect. We were going to save all the critters. And to me, that still is the clearest, simplest conservation message. If we allow species to go extinct, we have damaged our world and we've damaged ourselves, and we can't go back and retrieve it again. So that's still a very powerful conservation message. Not everyone buys into it as strongly as I do, especially when they're the ones who are being affected by whatever conservation action is proposed. So I'll leave it at that, and we can do some questions later, but I just wanted to sort of put that little bit of historic perspective in there, why we get so much controversy over endangered species.